Well, ESPN analyst Stephen A. Smith went on a rant expressing his anger over the OJ Simpson tribute during the BET Awards Sunday night. The BET Awards paid tribute to all the black celebrities and entrepreneurs and politicians that passed away during the year. And OJ was mentioning their in memoriam page, well, in memoriam segment, excuse me. And Stephen A criticized the BET Awards for doing that and saying that the black community should not honor OJ. Here's what he had to say on his podcast, The Stephen A Show. I'm going to play the audio clip and I'll be back with my commentary.
Is something I could have easily touched on yesterday, but you know, I hadn't seen all of the BET Awards, but I saw it last night, and I'm going to get started with that because this past weekend, the BET Awards, something we look forward to, something that's been a ratings bonanza, give credit where credit is due. This is a celebration, supposedly a celebration of black culture, music, and philanthropy. Yesterday, we talked about Will Smith's performance. Remember that? Usher's Lifetime Achievement Award and subsequent speech. Remember that? Well, today, somehow, some way, I've got to talk about something else I noticed that caught my eye. And I'm sure y'all saw it, and if you didn't see it, I wouldn't encourage you to go back and see it because I'm pretty pissed off about it. Did y'all see the in memoriam segment paying tribute to, quote, black excellence in terms of that we unfortunately lost this year, the individuals that we lost? The tribute included nods to luminaries like Clarence Avant, Willie Mays, Lou Gossett Jr., Dexter Scott King, just to name a few, okay? However, there was a notable silence from the crowd when the image of O.J. Simpson appeared on the big screen. You may recall O.J. Simpson died this past April after a battle with cancer. Yes, he is known for being a Hall of Famer on the football field, out of USC and ultimately with the Buffalo Bills in his NFL career, but he was also accused of double murder. His ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and Ronald Goldman, back in 1994, the 30-year anniversary was just the other day, last month, June 12th to be exact. O.J. was acquitted of those charges in 1995, but later found liable for their deaths a few years later in a civil trial. And the families of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ronald Goldman obviously criticized the BET Awards for paying tribute to Simpson. As well, they should. I don't blame them one bit. And I'm going to say this to y'all. What's up? What's up? See, Jesse Collins Production Company, same man that produced the Super Bowl halftime show, phenomenal producer, produced the BET Awards, okay? Constance Orlando, an executive VP, no doubt she was involved as an executive VP for BET. Scott Mills, he runs BET as well, has been doing an exceptional job. I'm not here to cast any aspersions on them as individuals and the wonderful, wonderful work that they've done over the years. Let me be very, very clear. It's not for me to judge. Their body of work speaks for itself. I'm just talking about this one thing. And, you know, you got Tia Mowry up there. She's giving an introduction, paying tribute to all of this. And then OJ's face pops up on the screen, and you could hear the audience aghast. Clearly, everyone didn't approve of that. Clearly, most people were shocked by that, and they should be. Ladies and gentlemen, we got to call it like we see it. In the eyes of most people, regardless of an acquittal, O.J. Simpson is a double murderer. Yes, he ultimately was convicted in a civil trial and obliged to pay $33.5 million to the Goldman family, which he never really did till the day he died. Never happened. But we all viewed him as a double murderer. He was ostracized and considered a pariah by the vast majority of American citizens. Why? Because regardless of what people want us to believe, unlike most situations, unfortunately, we saw the trial. And yeah, the glove didn't fit, so you must acquit. And the late, great Johnny Cochran pulled that off. And I've had Carl Douglas, the famed attorney working on Johnnie Cochran's team during the OJ trial, on this show on a few occasions. And he talked about the preponderance of evidence that validated a civil suit against O.J. Simpson, but not necessarily a criminal suit, because there were holes in the argument that were left by the LAPD and beyond, basically going out of their way to ensure that a person that was guilty in their eyes would be convicted, and it backfired on them. We know that story. But in the end, Nicole Brown Simpson is gone. Ronald Goldman is gone. The Brown family rather, is still around. The Goldman family, Fred Goldman, who I've always had a strong level of sympathy for, is still around. And you're O.J. Simpson. I know this is not popular to say. And two of my boys, because I love Mace and I love Cameron, and I know what respect they have for O.J. I'm not casting any aspersions on anybody like that. They have their relationship with them, and that's their business. More power to them. My attitude is this. O.J. Simpson never gave a shit about black people until he was indicted. Never gave a damn. You know? You look at Jay-Z's album. I'm not black, I'm O.J. Okay. That was what O.J. said. I ain't black, I'm O.J. Never gave a damn. Never gave a damn about black folks until he was indicted on murder charges. Never gave a damn about black folks until he was ostracized, by and large, by society as a whole. Never gave a damn. And it just amazes me how we would sit up there and I'm looking at it, forget the fact that in memoriam he was celebrated, he was mentioned, what have you. I mean, I'm looking at it from the standpoint, how should the family of Carl Weathers feel? How should the family of Willie Mays feel? How should the family of Bill Cobbs? Y'all don't know about that fabulous actor that he was. Ghost of Mississippi, New Jack City, and a plethora of other films that he was a part of. He was a legendary figure. How's his family supposed to feel when they're mentioned in the same breath as O.J. Simpson? Think about that for a second. It's the BET Awards. I mean, I know that it's no longer owned by Bob Johnson. I get that part. I understand that. I understand that in 2000, all right, I'm just pulling from my notes here to make sure that everybody knows that I kind of know. I'm going to do my research here. Paramount, then Viacom, 2000. They were sold by Bob Johnson for $3 billion. We get all of that. And I'm quite sure, I don't know this definitively, but it stands to reason that black folks ain't running Paramount. But you have black individuals in charge of BET, which is fair, which is the right thing to do. I'm just sitting up here absolutely positively flabbergasted that whether it's Scott Mills, whether it's Connie Orlando, whether it's Jesse Collins or whomever, how do we let that happen? How do we let that happen? And we got to call it like we see it. There's just no reason to celebrate this man. Okay, yeah, he should rest in peace. Sure, we should never talk about him again. Here's the bigger issue. We should never be given a reason to talk about him again. We certainly shouldn't be celebrating O.J. Simpson. I'm sorry. Not when two people were damn near decapitated. And he was the prime suspect. And we know that an overzealous police department effed up the case, which ultimately got him acquitted because he had one of the greatest lawyers this nation has ever known in Johnnie Cochran, the late, great Johnnie Cochran. O.J. never gave a damn. He hung around white people. He lived, that white culture. He didn't give a damn about his own. Ain't nothing wrong with that. You want to go to golf clubs and be members of golf clubs and all that stuff and live a posh, affluent lifestyle? Hell, we all trying to achieve that. I know I am. But what you never hear me say is that I'm not black. I'm Stephen A. Oh, I'm very black. Most of us are, if not all of us. I'm talking about in our spirit and in our soul. It's never something we want to detach ourselves from. That was O.J. Simpson. And when we do shit like this, it stains all of us because we're giving tacit approval for his alleged acts. when we shove that aside. This ain't like the jury letting him off in a criminal case where they saw holes in the argument, where they knew the LAPD engaged in unethical behavior. And on top of it all, you had the backdrop of the LAPD and how they were treating citizens in LA at that time and for decades prior to that, which had basically sullied and alienated the black community against LAPD for years. This is not that case. This is the BET Awards. This is a celebration of blackness, of black culture, of black entertainment, of black excellence. And when you do something like this, you got folks outside the community see that shit? TMZ talking about it, NBC talking about it, CNBC talking about it, CBS talking about it, USA Today talking about it, PBS, everybody but PBS. When that kind of stuff happens, how do you think that benefits us? And that's a story that we don't get into nearly as much as we should. Did it ever occur to anybody to remind yourself of the responsibility we have? I'm not blaming any of the folks there in the audience. They didn't know. And even though BET is owned by Paramount, it's still BET. Black folks everywhere, all up in there. And that's what we celebrate. We, as a community, are going to be held accountable for that. Subliminally, subconsciously. People going to look at us with raised eyebrows and think as a community, oh, you down with that? You cool with that? That's what you celebrate. The collective whole is what matters. Not one individual. God rest his soul. God will deal with him because God knows what he did and what he didn't do. It ain't for me to judge or anybody else to judge, but we saw what we saw. The trial was televised. His actions and his dismissiveness and disassociation and distance from the black community was self-inflicted. He created that. He wanted nothing to do with us. Where's this affinity for him? Where's the evidence that he ever gave a shit about us? I just don't understand. And I think that when it comes to something like that, you got to guard against that. I'd love to know if Tia Mowry knew anything about that. Because had that been me, and they asked me to MC that segment, and I saw that OJ was a part of it, I would not have done it. And if I was on that stage and his face popped up, I would have been mic'd up on camera, and I would have been like, I don't know whose idea that was, but I don't have anything to do with that. I didn't know. That's what I would have said. Now, everybody ain't me, and I understand that. And I'm not judging in regards to her or anybody else. I'm just saying, come on. Come on. We all suspect we know what he did, but nobody definitively knows what he did but God himself, OJ himself, and of course the souls of Ron Goldman and Nicole Brown Simpson. So it'll be for God to judge. But I got to tell you, that was a bad look on the part of the BET Awards. It really, really was. Don't get me started with all that twerking and all of that stuff. I had to tell my daughter who was on the phone with me, I made her turn the channel. I'm going to just leave it at that. My teenage daughter, I didn't want her seeing that. All that damn twerking and asses hanging out and all that. Nah. But this stuff with OJ, it can't get much more classless than that. And by the way, it also begs the question right now. If you're the Oscars, you going to celebrate Woody Allen? What are we going to do if Bill Cosby's name comes up? Eventually. I mean, it begs, Harvey Weinstein, stuff like that with other events. It's going to be interesting to see what other events do. Oscars, Emmys, stuff like that. It's going to be interesting to see what others do. Only last part I would make is this. Was Andre Brower mentioned? I don't recall. If he wasn't, he should have been. And I don't think he was. I didn't see it. How is he not mentioned? Get on the bus along with various other movies he's done over the years. He was another fabulous actor. We got a God who we celebrate, ladies and gentlemen. Who we're willing to celebrate sometimes is a reflection on us more so than it is on those folks. Especially when they're gone and we're still here. Sometimes you really, really needed to let them rest in peace. I'm just saying.
All right. I got one thing to say. Is this fool serious? There's a lot of things to break down with that video, with that audio from Stephen A's podcast. First of all, you don't tell us who we should celebrate and who we shouldn't celebrate. That's up to us to decide. Not you, not them. It's up to us and only us. Because I bet my last dollar, Robert Blake, who was accused of deleting his wife, was in the memoriam at the Emmys and Oscars. I didn't hear Entertainment Tonight or Inside Edition saying that, oh, Robert Blake, he shouldn't be celebrated. Phil Spector, who was convicted of deleting his own wife, was in the in memoriam segment of the Grammys. I didn't hear Entertainment Weekly, Billboard, MTV, Entertainment Tonight, TMZ saying that he shouldn't be in the memoriam segment because of what he was found guilty of. Look, OJ was acquitted by a jury of his peers. Respect the verdict. It's funny, a lot of y'all, as a matter of fact, it's funny, a lot of y'all, including you, Stephen A., told us we had to respect the George Zimmerman verdict. Why y'all can't respect the OJ verdict? You know? Why y'all can't respect that verdict? He was arrested, he was charged, he went to trial, he was found not guilty. And for those of you, because I've gotten to arguments with people on social media over this, that keep on saying, well, he was found guilty in the civil trial. No, he was found liable. Civil court, civil cases does not prove guilt or innocence, just liability. In civil cases, you can't be criminally charged and they can't sentence you to anything because that's a lower court than criminal court. So let's get that established now. Also, excuse me, Stephen A. Okay, yeah, we know OJ didn't roll with the black community like they or have a lot of black friends, but neither do you, Stephen A. Come on. You got all this venom for Kyrie Irving over the fact he said he didn't want to take the vaccine. But Aaron Rodgers sit up and lied. You said nothing. Ray Rice, who ended up getting to a dispute with his then fiance, now wife, in the elevator. Oh, you had all kind of energy for Ray Rice. Well, he needs to be gone. He needs to be gone indefinitely. He needs to be cut by the Ravens. But when Dana White slaps the hell out of his wife and beating on her on camera, you sit up and say, well, Dana, he's a good friend of mine, this, that, and the other. Jerry Jones, you know, we find a picture of him when he was a kid outside of that school in Arkansas where the Little Rock Nine were trying to enter, and they were faced with all kind of racism, threats, and even violence. But you didn't say nothing. You defended Jerry Jones. And I'm going to go here with this one. You had all this venom for Deshaun Watson saying that he needed to be out the NFL forever. But Ben Roethlisberger, when he was about to go out of the NFL, that man was celebrated. And he was accused of, you know, raping two women. So, Stephen A., you don't care about black people either. You don't. You sat up on your damn platform defending Megyn Kelly's racist ass over Audrey Day singing the Black National Anthem at the Super Bowl. Instead of you checking her for her criticism, you sat up and defended her. You keep on saying John Hannity is one of your closest friends. So how are you for the black community? All you do every day on First Take and on your podcast is throw us under the bus. You demonize us all the time. Now look, if the BET Awards wanted to mention OJ in that in memoriam segment, that's up to them. It was only for 2 seconds. It wasn't like they did a full tribute where they were showing clips of his whole career and everyone was doing speeches. They only showed it for 2 seconds, and that was it. It's a blink and you'll miss a moment. You know? I mean, come on. The man was a Hall of Fame running back. He was one of the greatest college football players in history. And also, he was an actor. And he was one of the original black sports superstar pitchmen. You know, he paved the way for a lot of athletes to become pitchmen. Like a LeBron, like a Michael Jordan, like a Steph Curry, like a Magic Johnson even. And even a Mean Joe Green. He was the original black sports superstar to be a pitchman for major companies. Now, yeah, I have my disagreements and issues with OJ, but the man got a fair trial. He was acquitted. Everybody should have moved on. But it seems like even though he was found innocent, a lot of you still want him to be guilty without evidence. And that's another discussion for another time, because I definitely have my theories on that. But yeah, Stephen A. Also, nobody outside of the black community really watches the BET Awards like that. Matter of fact, we don't really even watch the BET Awards like that anymore because it's gotten so ratchet and trash. I mean, back in the early 2000s, there was some class to it. And everyone looked nice, but now everybody's just going buck wild and just acting a straight fool. I've seen some of the stories from the BET Awards. All kind of fights, women dressed all scantily clad. It's like, come on. Like, y'all definitely need to change that. At least BET Awards used to be about something, but now it seems like it's not about nothing. So Stephen A., you definitely need to shut up, because all you do is dog us every chance you get. So you definitely can't talk about OJ, because you ain't no better than he was.